It's Tuesday, and that means it's Doc Braccio Day, where we look at things of life, things that decisions you make, life decisions sometimes, attitude you have. And he's with us now, Regional Psychological Services, drjohnb.com on the web. We're talking fatherhood today, Doc, and this is, right up my alley. This is near and dear to my heart. Good morning. How are you?
Well, very good, and good talking to you. And yes, this is right up your alley. And I think it's really just an important thing to remember that good dads are critical for the overall success in life and self-esteem of their sons. There can be little doubt, really, that a strong father figure results in better behavior, better self-esteem, better academic achievement, better relationships with others, and really predictably better relationships with other persons over the course of their lives. If someone doubts this, simply talk to persons who had strong dads and that helped them navigate their lives, and they'll tell you how important really dads were and maybe still are to them. Those who had bad or ineffective dads who were not good to them or ignored them will tell you how difficult it was being raised in a home with a dad who was not good to them, or a dad who had abandoned them or was never or rarely available to them. This lack of involvement often occurs even if married to their mother. I will put in here that this has nothing to do with replacing a mother or negatively speaking about mothers. No. The point is to talk about the importance of a good dad in the development of their sons. I also might add the goal is not to be a perfect dad, because there is not such a person. The goal is to be a dad who's available to them, time-wise and emotionally, supports their dreams and tries to help them come true, shows physical and emotional affection and caring, gives unconditional love, and is a strong role model who can help the child navigate the trials of growing up in such a complex and complicated world that we're currently living, Mike. As I have said many times in talks and on these podcasts, modeling is a very powerful and something people, they're not aware, Mike, of how their behaviors has immense impact on those around them. Dads need to know this and remember how important their behaviors are in modeling and molding the behaviors of their sons. Another important factor is to show respect for the mother of their sons, even if divorced and not getting along. Showing love for the mother, if married or in a relationship, can be most important to model the type of relationship that their sons can have with women in the future. As a minimum, trying to be respectful and not causing rifts between your sons and the mother is very important to the emotional well-being of your sons. Even though this can be difficult in some circumstances, it's just very important to the self-esteem of the son and will predictably allow for better interactions, really with not just the mother, but with other women as they live their lives. While this may seem obvious to most persons, I can tell you from decades as a private practice psychologist and walking the road of life that there are many adult sons and children who've had very bad relationships with their dads and would love nothing more than having a loving and caring dad who will make them a priority really in their life. So that's really kind of the message today. Dads, if you think you can be doing better, no one's asking you to be perfect, but if you think you can be doing better, spending a little more time, tuning into the needs of the kids, doing things, making yourself available emotionally and physically, hey, now's the time to do it. If you haven't been involved, never too late to start. This is important for the well-being of your sons who you were certainly involved in bringing them into the world. So that's kind of my message today. Good dads are very critical.
And we're coming up on Father's Day in June. So, we got that. Mother's Day will be here. We got all of that. So, it's generational, too. And you would think in this day and age, we get it a little more. And I think we understand it a little bit better. But then you still run into people who have terrible relationship with their dad, especially boys. But little girls, your dad, that's the first man that they see. That's kind of doesn't that become the standard for what, even if they don't understand it or realize it, they kind of look at him and they go like, oh, that's what a guy is.
For many generations, I remember I was teaching at MSU, growth and development many years ago. It was consistent then that a daughter's relationship with the father has a major impact on their future relations and in terms of who they marry and how successful marriages are. So bringing girls into the thing, Dad is really important, even though we were talking more about how it relates to sons, but sure, it certainly relates, and that could be another topic we could talk about sometime. But as far as the importance of the dad with their sons, doing things, being available, it's really critical. And, it's hard to believe how many dads are not that involved, okay? And sometimes we can say society's pushed them out, but a lot of times they just haven't been involved, haven't answered the call. And I'm not even being critical. I'm simply saying, hey, now's the time to do more, whatever you can do, even regardless of how old your sons are. Just try to be modeling and be a good person, be available, and help them make their dreams come true. We're talking maybe more younger here, but why not even later in life? Just, hey, sometimes people work 100 hours a week and they lose track and aren't that close for the kids. Whenever you come to the point you say, wait a minute now, this is a one-time shot, and this relationship with these kids, they're going to be 18 and gone. Our kids are 40, 45, and 48. I mean, we still think of them as kids, I might add. But those years when they're growing, if you miss those years, not only do they miss you during that time in their growth, but you miss them in your own growth, because certainly the father, the dad, is a lot better off emotionally when they've had a good relationship with their sons, with their children. So, it's really, these are the important things in life. And I think things are a little better now, even. I think there's no question there's more and more pushing to have dads involved, and they are involved. But there's, always more things to do. Always try to do the best we can. We're like a garden. All these events are, in terms of fathering, we'll say, it's a garden. We keep trying to make it better and be there and do the right things.
And that's not to say you got to be a wet dish rag, because we can get it wrong. We can go, well, dads need to be more in touch with their feelings and all of that stuff. And so then you become this diaper changing, which is fine. You should change a diaper, for crying out loud, Dad. But you can still be a great parent and a great dad. You do it in a dadly way. You don't have to be just a manly version of mom. You can do it. They're the power of in fact, I have a talk. It's titled "The Power of an Attaboy." I think those and I know we're coming up on that, but we got some time here, Doc. I hope you do too, because this is a big thing. You might think that go back to dads like my dad, World War II veteran, tough guy, get the job done. I think maybe he shut down. We were just talking about this yesterday. I think maybe that generation shut down a little bit because they had to. My dad killed guys. He shot people. And, that does something to you. And it's not just World War II, guys. We've got all kinds of wars and conflict. But you had to kind of put a wall around that vulnerable side of him, right? And so as that, you get back to modeling. What's a boy to see? Tough guy. They don't hug it out. Rub dirt on it. Yeah.
Listen, I agree. I agree with you. And again, my dad, believe it or not, was a World War I guy. So even we're certainly talking about different war, but same idea. But I think a lot of times that, because my dad was always a model for me, just a great guy. I worked all the time, busy, but always was there in terms of talking and being available, just being a good model. But that doesn't mean you don't criticize, when things are being done wrong, or you don't push persons to be their best. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the availability, the caring, and setting moral standards, setting spiritual standards, setting life standards, just being there and helping. Those that don't have that, a lot of times go the wrong direction. Peers become those that they model for, not always the best. So having dad there, it's a big deal. We're not minimizing mom. We're talking simply about dad as another view, another person, than someone they're going to be themselves sometimes in the future. So we want the modeling that they see when they're growing up to be the best possible modeling to help them be the best that they can be. That's really what we want. That's what we're talking about today. So I always tell dads, you may be successful, but you you've got to make sure that you develop that relationship. And some people don't even travel unless they have friends for their kids. And I encourage, I say, hey, nothing wrong with being friends when you travel and do things for the kids. But, hey, you want to make sure you're developing the relationship and you're going to be tight with them and they're going to want to be talking with you, want to be like you and pick up and learn from you. So don't just have them running off with some other kids. You just want to make sure you're an integral part of the family. And really, there's a lot of really just love and kind, unconditional love and being there. This doesn't mean you're just always hugging and you're crying and all those things. No, like you said, it's really it's modeling, attaboy, encouraging,
providing that framework.
Do their best.
Yeah, because they're going to find that framework someplace, whether it's you or it's a gang or whatever it is. They're going to find it somewhere. Doc, hey, we're up. I know you got stuff you got to do too, right? Your morning walk. I don't know. When do you do it? Do you do a morning walk? You should.
I always do 6,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Yeah, I'm a pretty busy guy.
Oh my gosh. I don't even think I do that. Doc Braccio, Regional Psychological Services, drjohnb.com, and you can find help on this stuff. If don't be so proud that you can't say, you know what, maybe I didn't have that. Maybe that's the problem with my relationships. Maybe that's I need to have somebody, a professional. There you go. Regional Psychological Services. Hey, Doc, I appreciate your time this morning. Thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure, buddy. Bye-bye.
See ya.